Unleash the Light is a new video game. Not new, it's been out for many years. This is the sequel to the game I played earlier this year, Save the Light. Just to reiterate, I am a Steven Universe fan. I have been for a few years now, and any opportunity to jump back into the world is one I'm going to hop on like a daddy on a dick. And I think that this is an example that a sequel is not guaranteed to break the mold, to break the wheel, and to do things better than the ones that came before. Now, that's not to say this entire game is a waste of time and close this goodbye, hallelujah, sengunginga. It is, though, enough to say that there are elements of this game that I was actually shocked by in terms of what I consider to be quite a step back, both in gameplay and kind of in story as well. To focus on the story real quick, this game does follow the events of the show and the previous game, and it takes place in between the ending of the original series of Steven Universe and the movie and future. However, I felt like in the last game, in Save the Light, they introduced a new character, Hessenite, who was the villain. I thought she was great. The voice actress was great. Everything about the character was awesome. I enjoyed the story quite a bit. In this game, they introduced a couple new villains, and I kind of felt like they were such a small presence. It feels like, you know, this game kind of in general kind of felt shorter than the last one. I'm not sure if it was, but I definitely feel like these characters in particular were, I don't know, disappointing, I suppose. The real gripe I have with this game probably relies on the gameplay, which, if you remember in Save the Light, the last game, it kind of took on an RPG approach similar to the Paper Mario games. You had full control of the characters. You would walk around the world, you know, get in fights, what have you. You could also avoid fights if you chose. You know, you could go around characters and not necessarily get in fights with them. And now, in this game, it actually takes a step back even further, gameplay-wise, to the original game, which I briefly mentioned in my last video on Save the Light, Steven Universe Attack the Light, which was a mobile game that kind of spurred this whole thing off. And the thing is, this game, Unleash the Light, drops the free roam ability. You now move by swapping from screen to screen, which makes the gameplay go faster for sure, because you're not walking around so much, which I think was one of my complaints, that it felt like you moved too slow in the last game. This one omits that by obviously getting rid of it altogether. And now you just go screen to screen, which you can go very quickly, which is, I suppose, a good thing, but I felt like it kind of took out the element of exploring. Especially when you're looking for secrets and items. Like, it's extremely easy to find anything in this game now, because every single screen you go to, just swap once in each of the 4 directions, and you'll find any secrets that could possibly be hidden. So, like, it really kind of cut down on the gameplay time, which I guess could be good or bad, but I felt like it was a detriment. And yeah, in the end, I mean, the combat is pretty much the same. It's that standard old school RPG turn-based system, which is good, but, you know, doesn't really change anything from the last game. I do want to mention the boss fights, which I felt, you know, the game has a slow progression of difficulty, which is fine, totally makes sense. As you progress through the game, go through the levels, enemies are going to become harder. But the boss fights were just, I mean, fucking skyrocket in difficulty. And I thought that was weird. In fact, at one point, I literally said out loud, I think in the third boss fight, I can't believe they expect people to do this. Like, I expect kids to fucking do this. Like, it's insane to me. It was so hard. You know, maybe I was just underleveled. I don't know. I felt like I was along the same path as everything else up until the boss fights, which I guess you could grind by going back and replaying old levels, but that's so boring. I can't imagine doing that. I think my takeaway is this was fun. You know, it's always good to go back into the world of Steven Universe and these characters. There's a lot more voice acting in this one. Also, a lot more characters to play as. They added quite a few from the show that were omitted. Kind of, I felt were awkwardly missing in the last game. But they're here, and that's great. And they all have awesome moves and personality and costumes and everything like that. But yeah, I feel like it is a step backwards. That's in both the story and gameplay. I was not super enthused. I was kind of expecting them to take elements from the last game and kind of expand upon the ones that worked and take out the ones that didn't. And it doesn't really seem like that's the way they went. Now, this game is still getting support, shockingly. Even as soon as a few months ago, it got their most recent update, which has added quite a bit of content, including new pieces of gameplay and characters and things like that. I can't imagine this game is getting any more support. I mean, the fact that it's gotten as much as it has is surprising to me. But with everything going on at Warner and everything, I cannot imagine this is on the list of priorities to keep releasing free updates to this game. But hopefully it does still get updated and we get more stuff, because, you know, that's awesome. But yeah, Unleash the Light. Fun. If you're a huge Steven Universe fan, I definitely think it's up your alley. But otherwise, I would just stick with Save the Light. This one was a bit of a step back.